Let's talk about rabies. Just the word itself is kind of terrifying, right? It brings up this ancient fear of a disease that for pretty much all of human history has been a guaranteed death sentence once you see the symptoms. But what if I told you that this monster of a disease is totally beatable? And not only that, but we already have the blueprint for how to do it. We're going to break down an incredible story of a huge public health victory.
So, our story kicks off in 2018 in a small state in India called Goa. Now, this is a place that's right in the heart of a country carrying a massive chunk of the world's rabies problem. And yet, they pulled off something that made the entire global health community stop and take notice.
And this number right here, this is what that victory looks like. 0. Since 2018, Goa has not had a single human death from rabies. Think about that. They basically eliminated a disease that for centuries was a synonym for death.
So the big question is, how? How on earth did they do it? How did one state manage to defeat an enemy that is so legendarily unforgiving? Well, that's the blueprint we're here to unpack.
But first, to really get how big of a deal this is, you gotta know your enemy. We need to understand the villain of this story, rabies itself.
So at its core, rabies is a virus, and this virus has one mission and one mission only, to get to your nervous system. It's what scientists call neurotropic. It basically hijacks your nerves as a highway straight to your brain, and once it gets there, it causes this massive, deadly swelling.
And the way it progresses is the stuff of nightmares. It starts out looking like the flu, fever, headache, but then it escalates to confusion, agitation, and then you get to the most famous symptom, hydrophobia, the fear of water. But here's the wild part. People aren't actually afraid of the water itself. It's that the act of swallowing triggers these incredibly painful spasms in their throat. So just the thought of drinking causes panic. After that, it's a rapid slide into paralysis, coma, and, well, the inevitable.
Because here's the thing. Once those telltale neurological signs, the confusion, the fear of swallowing, once they show up, the game is over. The window for any kind of treatment has slammed shut, and the outcome becomes chillingly predictable.
It is almost 100% fatal. In all of recorded medical history, you can count the number of survivors on one, maybe two hands. This means that when it comes to rabies, prevention isn't just the best strategy, it is the only strategy. And that fact alone should tell you just how incredible Goa's achievement really is.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit to get a sense of the battlefield. See, Goa wasn't just fighting this battle in a bubble. They were fighting it at the absolute epicenter of the global rabies crisis, India.
And get this number. According to the World Health Organization, India accounts for 36% of all the rabies deaths in the entire world. A third of every person who dies from this disease is in India. That is staggering.
I mean, just look at this chart to see how huge that burden is. We're talking about an estimated 18,000 to 20,000 deaths every single year. It's a public health crisis on a massive scale.
And what's truly heartbreaking is who suffers the most. This quote from the WHO really drives it home. A huge portion of the victims are kids. They're often playing outside. A bite might not seem like a big deal, or it might go completely unreported, and the consequences are just tragic.
So you're facing down this horrifying disease with these insane statistics. How in the world did Goa turn the tide? Let's get into the winning strategy, what we can now call the Goa Blueprint.
So their plan wasn't some single magic bullet. It was a really smart, two-pronged attack. First, you've got to control the source. And since up to 99% of all human cases come from dogs, that meant a massive dog vaccination campaign. Second, you have to protect anyone who might have been exposed. That means getting them immediate medical care, a protocol called post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP for short.
And this is the part that's so important for all of us, because knowing about PEP isn't just trivia, it's knowledge that can literally save a life. This is the secret weapon that stops rabies dead in its tracks.
This whole life-saving process boils down to a three-step counterattack. And the key is speed. You have to start immediately after any potential exposure. It begins with simple wound washing, then an injection called rabies immunoglobulin, or RIG, and finally, a series of rabies vaccine shots. Let's break down what each of those really means.
All right, step one is something you can do yourself, and it is critically important. You have to wash the wound right away with soap and running water for a solid 15 minutes. No joke, set a timer. This simple act can physically wash away a ton of the virus. Then you can apply a disinfectant. Now here's what you absolutely should not do. Don't put things like chili powder, dirt, or turmeric on it. That can make things so much worse. And of course, get to a doctor immediately.
Okay, so you get to the doctor and you might hear them talk about two different kinds of injections, rabies immunoglobulin and the rabies vaccine. A lot of people get these mixed up, but they do two totally different and equally important jobs.
Think of it like this. The rabies immunoglobulin, or RIG, is like calling in the special forces. It's a one-time dose of ready-made antibodies that they inject right at the site of the bite to attack the virus immediately. But these guys don't stick around for long. The rabies vaccine, on the other hand, is like sending your own immune system to boot camp. It's a series of shots that teaches your body how to build its own long-lasting army of antibodies. So the RIG is your immediate shield, while the vaccine builds up your permanent fortress.
And all of this brings us to this incredible paradox. Rabies is pretty much 100% fatal if you let symptoms show up. But it is also pretty much 100% preventable if you do the right things right away. The final outcome is almost completely determined by your actions after an exposure.
And that is exactly the point. That is what GOA proved to the world. By putting together that two-pronged strategy, vaccinating dogs, educating people, and making sure that life-saving PEP treatment was available, they showed that this terrifying virus can absolutely be beaten.
Look, what happened in Goa wasn't magic. It was hard work. It was science, it was strategy, and it was community effort. They've handed the world a proven playbook for how to defeat one of our oldest and most feared enemies. So really, the only question left is, who's gonna be next?